We are back. Welcome back to another HNLT show, special edition of the trade deadline. This is part number 4 of the week. We've been here every single day since Tuesday night at 9 o'clock p.m. But because the trade deadline month of the NHL is over, honestly, for 3 o'clock p.m., but still have some kind of transition could be apply or involve a little bit later after 3 p.m. Look like this is pretty much over, Mr. Naftap. First of all, welcome back in the house. Thanks to be with us on this great Friday afternoon.
Hey, Coach. Hello, Hockey Nation. Great to be back. Yeah, a bit of a slow day today, but really no surprise, Coach, given the amount of activity during the week.
Yeah,
At this stage today, we're switching 2 nickels for a dime. That's the
yeah,
only kind of
absolutely
trade you
about
can
that.
make.
We expect a big day since like 2 months ago, right? 1 month ago, where we expect Montreal Canadiens to be more active with Sean Monahan, Jordan Munson, Josh Anderson, Christian Dvorak, Jonathan Drouin, Jake Haddon, and but honestly, they not done that way
Matheson.
at the end of the night. So every big name on the board of the trade deadline bait, who can call it that way, was already trade before the day start today here. And we got many trade. Honestly, we're going to go through those trade a bit quickly, but not like a major key players or for make a big impact or the effect. Maybe Glenn Burke now just got trade, but not much. And then most the biggest team in the NHL, you know, we said the top 5 in NHL, like we got like Boston example, Carolina, or the Toronto example, and Colorado. They almost did all their market grocery already during the week, and now they are always waiting. I think they just eat more during the day today at talking on the phone today. That's what they pretty much what they did for
Yeah,
them.
for
But
sure.
yeah, so that's happening about that. We're going to see today a little bit what happening with the Montreal Canadiens. Just listening the press conference of Ken Hughes for about 30 minutes, 35 minutes. Going to give you a little bit a review of his resume about this. We're not going to be here long time here. Maybe 1 hour. We pretty much go through all the trades during the week, and we're going to make maybe another, maybe at the end, maybe the couple of team. What are you looking for until the end of the season, and who is ready to go to the war when the playoffs start? And that's pretty much what we got today. So we have a few people knock the door of, honestly, we have Mr. William McClary is in the house. Welcome aboard. Thanks to be with the Hockey Nation Live Show. We have RJ Calabro updated with all the information about he's going to give us today with some kind of signature for OBQB. And then we have Joseph Laham back in the house. Thanks so much for everybody to be with us. Like I said, we'll go to do a resume of what happening during the day. William said we have a 47 draft choice move leading up to the deadline, 13th first round pick. I wonder if this is a record. Honestly, I'm not sure. We have to check a little bit more. But it definitely
40,
a more trade
45.
first round pick. I was my expectation was Mr. Tap at the beginning of the this trade deadline. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think the record, like last year, I think we had about 41, 42, somewhere around there. But I think we had those kind of numbers already going into today. And today we were just shy of 20, I believe, 20 minor moves that were made.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it could be one of the bigger cumulative trade deadline acquisitions and so forth. But in terms of the particular day, no, not even close.
I think one thing we learned this week is honestly the team does not wait at the last minute to make a trade. They start to negotiate earlier, and then
So,
if you see one get out of the board, they have option B, option C. I would say example like Kings. The King negotiated a long time with Arizona to get Chick run, but they have a plan B example, maybe plan C. It was Caprica, maybe it was the plan C, and then he realized he cannot get all love or whatever it is, and now they jump in with Caprica. So that's happening there, and that's you can see it a bit more an impact. And then this year we learned something. Are you agree or not agree to put the player out of the lineup or not? Like I think Chikon missed 11 game, Caprica 9 game. Is it good enough for the hockey? Is it good enough to do that? And is that fair enough? Is it fair? Another question I will ask you: do you think it's fair enough to use um, the money for a third team? And I will explain to you example like if Minnesota did twice
Yeah.
this week, two pick they got, and there was the third party of this, right? Is it fair for a
Hmm.
team like New Jersey? They work hard, 82 games, and then another team get a player because you have a third team around this. Some people are a little bit upset about that. They think it's not fair overall. It's a rules. Honestly, you can do that, right? But is it fair or not fair? I'm not sure about that, right?
Yeah.
That's another question people ask me sometime about this. Sometimes we can go a little bit more deeper during the day. Later, join talk about those questions we got. We have Mr. André Robert Drouin in the house.
Hey, Andrew.
And Ellenson said, you're right. Hugo did not pull any rabbit out of the hat. Yep, that was my expectations on the week, and that's happening. Run with Kings 20 is in the house. At the bottom, guys, on the trade deadline you got here, I didn't add the last trade, two trade. First of all, the Arizona just trade instead of that. It was a funny because both Richie got traded. First of all, Arizona
The
trade to the
brothers.
Calgary, Nick Ritchie and Troy Stetcher, and Arizona got from is Ritchie, Brett Ritchie,
Brett
Connor
Ritchie.
Mickey. So two of them, two teams got traded. And then earlier, Minnesota got from the Ducks, John Klember is not on the trade list I have right now,
Yeah.
and with other package deal around that one over there. So if you look about
Yeah.
all the
They.
trade we got today, March 3rd, uh, for me, one trade pick up my curiosity is really the trade of John Greenway to the Buffalo Sabres. Are you surprised the Minnesota gave away Jordan Greatway?
Not really, because I'll tell you why. Because he's in at $6 million. We know Minnesota has cap issues going forward. I think he has, if I'm not mistaken. Does he become an RFA at the end of this year?
I'm sorry again, at the end of the year?
Is he an RFA at the end of this year?
Oh, I need to look about that one over there.
Because I think he's at $6 million hit. So
Oh no,
basically, it
he
was
is lower
is
at this. Greatway now. Greatway should be at
no.
3 million. Now he's on with his new team, so I have to look at his new team.
Okay, yeah, yeah, because that'll be interesting. That'll probably help explain the
He's at
move
$3 million
itself. But
for 2 more years.
for 2 more years, yeah.
Yes.
So, and they picked up, I believe, a 2023 second and a
Yes, he get a second and a fifth
twenty
round
twenty
pick, I
four
believe. For
fifth
me,
round pick.
Buffalo
Yeah.
did not do a lot of move, but this is a great move in my eyes.
I think it's a good move. I don't see it really, going doing wonders really for Buffalo. I mean, you get a guy obviously that does have very good size, but he never reached his potential, I think.
No, but he
And
bring a lot on the third line. Look what he did with Mike
he does,
Foligno
he
and
does.
George
Yeah.
and Erickson AK. So what he bring is some depth inside of the Buffalo
Yes.
Sabres as
Yes.
a physicality what they don't have at the bottom. You know what I mean? If you look about the Buffalo Sabres, the Okposo is only the only one they can get over there. So I think for Buffalo, it's
Experience.
a good asset to add him over there. $3 million is not expensive. You think about this, 26 years old, 2 more years to go. He got
Yeah.
hurt this year. He did not play for a couple of months. But I think for me, that's what I see that is a good asset for them to bring some depth inside this because they don't have a lot of big winger. If you think about this, I always say the next one is Alex Dock is really the big right there. So I think it would play
Alex
a good,
Tuck. Yeah.
specific big role inside of that organization. And I think that's the reason I said there's a good additional players about that. And I think that would be a good way. They not destroy anything or the effect second round pick. Buffalo keep
Hmm.
patient. They don't want to make more big go all in. I think it was a really good move from the Buffalo Sabres, Mr. Tap. So I think that's great to see
Yeah, that's a
that.
good move. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Ron said, rumors are said that Jonathan Quick refused to report to Columbus, and that's why he was sent to Vegas. And Columbus never want Colin Quick, but have to take him, make the trade, and he tried to the rumor. Um, but first of all, I don't
Possible.
know about this rumor, but I think at the end of the day, if Quick does want to go to Columbus, they can sit him down, and that's it. That's all, right? He can just wait and go from there. He's not get paid. He's going to be, is all the players. But I think at some point, Columbus turned around already. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know the rumor, but Mr. Natap, it's sometimes that trade is already done before it's happening. So Columbus already negotiated
Yeah.
with Vegas Golden Knight. If this go happening, now they going to get Quick, and then after that they turn around quickly and they go to the Vegas, and Vegas was waiting if the trade happening or not. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Now, why not they announce it right away? But sometimes it just take a little bit longer because Vegas want to be sure after that
Yeah.
trade, if that night maybe you have some kind can hurt whatever it was. So I can go all the way that way, but I think it could also be true. Um, But for me, I understand for all the respect, Jonathan Quick, organization, maybe the fans, but this is business, Mr. Tap. It's not there
Yeah.
to
I
please the
totally
players
agree.
at
I
some point,
totally agree.
right? We're not there just say,
I
oh, but you play 15 years, we have to be careful. It's not that way. It works sometime at the end. Now, Ken Blake talked to him prior to that, 2 weeks ago, one
Yes.
weeks ago. Ken Hughes did it with some players. He said with Edmondson. Yes, I agree with you. But at some point, I think it's, what I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business at the end. That's simple. Coing will be very is upset right now. He will try the best he can to play against them, and then in the next year, whatever it is, 2 years will be retired. He's going to be back with the Kings like nothing happening. In my opinion, I could be wrong here.
Yeah. I'm not so sure. If things end a little bit astray like that, that he'll go back uh, to LA at some point. But you might be
It
right.
would definitely,
But yeah,
Mr. He passed
I
15
I
years
definitely.
over there. Um,
Wow, I know, but then think of Dave Keon with the Leafs. It took many, many, many years before he got rid of his animosity towards the way he was handled way back when, and go back to even stepping within the confines of the Toronto Maple Leafs organization again. But I digress there. But you're right. I first and foremost agree that it is a business. The only thing I guess I even had an issue with was the way it was handled. I mean, you look at the fact that Edmondson in Montreal was taken aside, as you mentioned, told that this could happen. So just be prepared. Whatever the case might be, they don't have to like it. I get that, but I think the common decency, at least, of just, especially a veteran of his quality, of his stature, deserved at least a heads up, because from all sounds, it was a total shock to him. It was a shock to the team, and it created a little bit of problem. And LA is such a good team that you don't want to create a disruption within the way they're playing right now. So it's just the way they handled it. Otherwise, you're absolutely right. It's a business, and that has to come first.
yeah, and Ronnie says one thing very good. He said, Blake, on the trade, you have to think of the future of the team. You know what I mean? Like at
Yeah,
the end of the day,
absolutely.
Ronnie is absolutely right about that. So I agree with him about that.
But you don't
Nemestikov
have to
got
be.
traded in our tab today
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
third time.
absolutely. That was a good move. I thought. I thought for the Jets. I mean, it's not a huge. It's a bottom six, obviously. I think Nemesnikov brings a little bit of size. He brings also a good defensive game because he's very responsible defensively to the team, and really didn't give up much. It was a fourth round pick, I believe, and
So for him,
uh,
Mr. Tap, for the last 3 years, he got traded to a trade deadline. Do you think
I
him,
know.
his family, they rent at the Airbnb, an apartment or condominium, or do you feel like they, because they know we go to Detroit every 6 months? So do you
Well,
feel
the
like
family's probably in Florida while
you
he
have an
makes his way
Airbnb
around the globe.
annual apartment is like his wife just work on that part. So we're going to look for
Yeah,
March where we're going to go next one, and but
exactly.
again, not easy job from time for the players, everything like that. We'll talk about Montreal Canadiens, guys, the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes until we go through this today because it wasn't a very busy day overall. Mr. Natap. Question for William. Don't hesitate question, guys. We're not a group, a lot of people here. We just want sharing this for 1 hour something and talk about hockey before we go back to the warm-up show at 6 o'clock. Question, regarding the Kane trade, do you think Chicago was, what, and the corner received less or more que Utah? Patrick Kane for the,
Yeah, did they receive less than what they anticipated? Well, I think they had they were a bit handcuffed, to be honest with you, because when Kane said, "There's pretty much one team on my to trade list, and that team is the Rangers," then it makes it difficult to negotiate, right? Because you know that the Rangers can kind of uh, dictate the terms a little bit, and I mean he doesn't have to accept it, of course, for Chicago, but it does put handcuffs on him that he can't compare and shop him around with some other team and try to outbid somebody else. But yeah, they probably got a little bit less than what they should have.
yeah, well, sometimes the tight end, the players, like Giroud last year with the Flyers told them, I'm going to go only
Yes.
in Florida. Then he told them, I'm
Yeah.
going to go to the Rangers. So the negotiation, the power of the negotiation is a bit limited about that, unfortunately, for that. Can you trade him in the summer to get more? Definitely. I think in summer they could get a bigger trade or whatever that. But I think for Chicago,
Yeah.
a great question. By the way, Mr. Natap,
Hmm.
the Richie or brother. I just forgot to mention that.
Yes.
So it's rare
Yes.
you see a brother trade again under the brother. So example like a Calgary Flame fans have a jersey number 24 with the name Richie. He's not losing too much is the value of the jersey. He just has to change the number now, and he keep the
That's
name at the
right.
back of the jersey. So that's
Absolutely. Anybody
that's
that had a Ricci jersey, they're fine.
yeah, yeah, that's pretty much about that one over there.
Yeah.
But we'll be interested what happening. We think we have a few people. Rick Bengal, Mr. Natap, knock the door. Rick Bengal
Hi,
is with
Rick.
us. Thanks so much to be with the Hockey National show. We appreciate it. I tried to figure out something, Mr. Natap. I forget it. It looked like, I don't know if you know that, Mr. Natap, but we really pay attention what's going on around the people do for the Hockey National show. But I don't know if you saw that, but it looked like it's happening 2 days ago. And one of my reporter follow everybody in the chat. And then we saw Mr. Natap, you not believe it. We thought he's always at the Mandarin, but sometimes he go to the hockey game. He wear is a perfect jersey, the Montreal Canadien. I'm talking about Danny T, Mr. Natap, following at the game again, the Kings yesterday. Really impressive about that. I cannot understand what happening, Mr. Natap. He wear the Montreal Canadiens jersey. I think his brother Roger gave him that jersey. You can see the name at the back. Not many people use his
Oh
name
my
like
gosh.
Danny. Is that it's pretty? I don't know what to tell you. This is very impressive for me. What do you think about that? Did you know Danny
That
went to the game and he represented
I
Montreal
know.
Canadiens?
Wearing that Montreal jersey proudly for sure. I always knew that Danny was a
He have
closet
some
Montreal
blood
Canadian fan.
inside of him. It's called the blue blanc rouge, Monsieur
Absolutely.
Natap.
Absolutely.
So we had everything about. We know everything, Mr. Natap. You cannot do anything. We mentioned
You
everything.
can't hide.
Ron said to you,
You
Mr.
could,
Natap,
yeah.
Le Corrupteur came back before in the past. So you're absolutely right about this. I agree with you
Yes.
for sure. Thanks so much, Big Bengal. Where Mr. Drax is in the house. Welcome aboard.
Welcome, Vex.
And then Mr. Ron said, who do you think won all the trade been made, Mr. Natap?
I guess beyond today is what that's referring to. I would say, I mean, here's the tough part. Like, I think some teams did very well for themselves. I mean, any other year, I'd say that the Toronto Maple Leafs did a very had a very good trade deadline time. They picked up some. They looked at some of their holes. They addressed their weaknesses. But the problem is, many other teams came along, and this year there seemed to be more of a focus. Teams kind of anticipating who they're going to play in the playoffs and preparing for that particular team, especially in the first round, which is very difficult to get out of that first round, especially if you're in the Eastern Conference. So, Boston stepped up. I thought Tampa Bay stepped up to a lesser degree, but I would say probably Boston had the best additions, as you see there.
Yep.
Not only did they extend, as you see, Pasternak, and make him happy. But they added Orlov and Hathaway, which I think are very solid pieces to the puzzle. And then to add Bertuzzi, even if it's even if Taylor Hall does not come back, which I fully anticipate that he will by playoff time, you still have a great alternative there.
You can get that line like if you want to, you can play Attaway and Attaway Petozzi, the same line guy. This is going to be like not easy to play against them. I know that Attaway play on the 4 line, but Petozzi play could be with Frederic on the 3rd line with Charlie Coy. Just give you an idea how dead they are, Mr. Natap. So it's just amazing. I think Boston,
Coach,
on my eyes,
let me
Boston.
ask you, yeah, let me ask you a question, because I think if we're objective about everything, and we're truthful to the situation, on paper, really, Boston seems to be the clear cut, not only winner in the trade deadline, but also in terms of the team that they have. They're the strongest team out there. In your eyes, what do you think it takes to beat the Boston Bruins? What kind of team would beat the Boston Bruins?
Well, they have a 2, 3 hour quickly. That's okay. You have to be sure you have a good goaltender, solid and red
Yeah,
hot again. Them that would be the first priority about that one there. You cannot go with a 50-50 goalie. You have to be like a Vasilevsky example. Just a team can carry on the team on his shoulder. That would be for first
right.
thing. Secondly, you have to be physical. Whatever we just mentioned, Attaway, Pertuzzi, right? They are not really physical if you think about this overall, like a team together. They are only the 2
Hmm.
players just mentioned, but you think about the top 6, Marchand, Pasnak, Bergeron, Krejci, everything like that. So play physical on the defenseman to be sure every time you pay the price. Thirdly, I would say to you, a team is really fast, and then
Yes,
the puck possession of the puck. So every time Boston don't have the puck, but they cannot do anything about that. So that would be the 2 things that would be very important about this. You look at the defenseman. Although the fact Carlo is a big defenseman, right? But you talk about
they're not
McEnroy,
huge.
you talk about Lane Home, everything like that. If you can crash the net and create some kind of screen, but bother people in front of the net, that would be the other way. But at the end of the day, uh, the Boston right now, they are 4 line they can score. They are 4 line they can make other team struggle all night long. And it's like a wave, right? You say, okay, the first line is over, let's go with the 2. But now the third is also the same like the second line. And the 4 line, they're going to for check you to be on your face all night long. So that's the reason they said the Barcelona is going to have maybe, the chance to win the Stanley Cup, maybe the highest number percentage to win the Stanley Cup because they are maybe the more complete team in NHL as a roster. But the only way there, a goaltender, physical at the
And
defenseman, and then
speed,
after that, a speed
speed.
team. And then, so a team, we know yesterday some questions said to us in the chat who can beat Boston. Overall, you're going to laugh at me, but I think the only one can do. Not said George Gorgiev is great hot goaltender, but the Colorado, the way they play, could have a better resistance against them. And the East right now, I see 2 teams: the Carolina, but not good enough. I think I'm surprised you. I will have to go back again with 10 probably like needs about that. I will not discount the Rangers. I don't know if they can have that kind of third line, four line they can continue, but the
Yeah.
defense of the Rangers with just again could have almost a you know what I mean like they are close at what they against Boston more because Rangers with Kane now with Tarasenko have the wave to come back like they can score goal. Carolina, you don't have that kind of the offensive on your side. It's not like natural. So the Rangers be the close about it. Tampa Bay, you already know who they are. So Tampa Bay
Yeah.
Rangers are the two teams I think they can have a very difficult time. Now you said Toronto. It's questionable between the pipe, first of all, and the
Hmm.
defensive, whether they add Shane and McCabe. Still not sure the chemistry they have right now. So Toronto, I cannot put them here that yet. But on the West, I think Colorado, what they have right now, be interesting about this. We talk about the winner of this. I think we have to consider Edmonton, another top three winner of that for that part of there, in my eyes. On the paper, I would say the Rangers with Tarasenko Kane is a good asset. Now, the Toronto, they have a lot of change over there. Is it good enough? I'm not sure. If it's good, you talk about O'Reilly, McCabe, Lafferty, Cherry, Shine, and Gustafson. You talk about all the six players there. The only O'Reilly is really the one who's going to make a big impact. McCabe can secure the top four defensemen, but Lafferty,
Defenseman.
Cherry,
Yeah.
Shine, and Gustafson, at the end of the day, guys, they are all the bottom six or they are more the third pairing defensemen at the normal team.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
for me, I think you'll be a little bit concerned about that one over there. So we'll be interested. We have here, we're going to go back on the chat right there. We have Michael Devenel pop up here. Welcome aboard. Randy N is in the house. Thanks so much. Don't forget, guys, to click on the likes. Michael talked about Iserman plan. Usually, Akarin Timo was pretty high on my wish list. William. Yes, a
What is
long
the plan?
term. A long term, yes. A short term for this year, I'm a little bit concerned because I don't think so. They fix all the old they have for against the what they what they going to compete again. But a long term, when they going to sign him, whatever happening, I agree with you. I think it's a great asset for them. Run about the puck. I'm not agree in our tap about Boston. William, MSU Detroit fan. So Ville Russo is injured, and the Red Wing are bringing back Alex Nedenkovich and an urgent emergency call up about this. And wait the tip the time, the leave. About the leave. Jeffrey SMP is in the house. Colorado could win it again. Yes,
Sure.
Colorado could win again, Mr. Tap, but I think the percentage are not there like it was before. How you feel about that?
Yes, they're probably not as deep as they were last year, but they do have a couple things, going in their favor. And I would say number one, I think most of the heavyweights are in the East, and so you know that they're going to eliminate each other. And number two, I think if they clear up their injury situation a little bit, and I'm thinking specifically about Landeskog, I mean, they need him back and they need him back, being able to contribute. That'll go a long way to at least filling up that gap a little bit. I thought that perhaps they were going to go for centerman today. It didn't happen. So they'll have to be a little bit more creative in terms of how they fill that gap up a little bit. You know, I don't know if you can, because I know Landeskog has played center at some point in his career. I don't know if that's possibly a strategy that they can at least try in the next 20 games. Well, he's not going to be around. That's the problem because he's still on the injury list. But when he does come back, whether they can try him at center and he would be a second line centerman. I don't know.
Yeah, possible about that. Where MSU Detroit fan talk about the Detroit Red Wings, it's just called last USO. They call up an emergency goalie or whatever on our tap. So it would be interesting. Detroit have a really bad week. Look like Eiserman changed the plan the last 2 weeks, and now he's really focusing for the again. retools or rebuilding. I don't know. He maybe add another garage or the part of the house right now. I don't know what he's
I
doing,
don't
but
get it.
he got
I
no asset.
honestly don't get it. I don't get it, Coach. Usually, I mean, and I'm sure he has some kind of plan in mind. He's not the kind of, GM that just does things haphazardly. He has an overall picture. It might be more futuristic than just this year and next year. But I just don't get some of their moves.
Not easy for sure about this. For yeah, he got this, but he lost a defenseman, 25 years old. He lost a very top
Yeah.
six forward for that. So if you talk about the wild card, I don't see Detroit can do something there. Um, you
No,
know,
no. Those two games against Ottawa did them in. That was where they had to, at the very least, win one of them, and they not only did they lose them, but they lost them convincingly.
yeah, absolutely about this. Look, the Montreal Canadiens just add, we'll talk about a little bit for the Montreal Canadiens. We got a press conference for Ken Hughes a couple of minutes ago, talk about what happening during the trade deadline and everything like that. Talk about they just sent back RHP and JC Allen to the Laval Rocket a couple of minutes ago. Just for administration, like I mentioned to you, they have to prepare the roster for the playoffs. So that's again happening about that. They talk about some kind of injury. Kirby Duck look like he's not going to return for the rest of the year. And talk about Montreal. He talk about the injuries update, but he was really focusing on the trade deadline. And Jordan Manson was the big name, right? He came back yesterday, and he did get trade. What do you think about the overall of the trade deadline for the Montreal Canadiens? Unfortunately, did not turn around what we expect.
Yeah, and I mean, I made it quite vocal. I thought that there would be a total of 3 to 4 trades that they'd make. Turns out they only made two, if you include today's very minor move with Nate Schnarr for Frederick Allard. Uh, and a lot of the pieces that we've been talking about and everybody's been talking about on Twitter, the media, podcasts did not come to fruition. But again, we have to realize you got to be patient. When you're rebuilding, you have to be very patient. You cannot overreact at any single stage. And by that, I mean trade deadline, draft, whatever the case might be. You have to have a plan. You have to go by that plan. You know that during those times, you might be really ticking off a lot of people, fan bases, whatever the case might be. But that's how you build upon it. And they were handed, some bad luck in terms of players that they were going to trade or try to trade getting injured and therefore their value going down. So if you're going to tell me, okay, we had a partner for Edmondson, a team to go, but all they were going to give us was, let's say, a fourth round pick, I'd say don't do it. And I'm glad that he didn't go ahead with that. Because to just give them away, I mean, you're going to lose some of them, obviously, like Drouin at the end of the year. I mean, his contract's up, he's done. And so you didn't get anything for him. But then again, what's picking up a sixth or a seventh pick for Drouin going to do for your team? It's not going to do very much. It's not going to move the needle. Don't discount the fact that Hughes and Gorton could still get a third first round pick. It just didn't happen at trade deadline time, but it could still happen at the draft.
Yeah, absolutely about that. Talking about them, they, at the trade deadline, the Rockies made a trade deadline. They got Curry and out for that and out. This was pretty good overall. They put on
Yeah.
the waiver Chris Tierney today, and then they got today a trade with the Los Angeles Kings, Frederic Allard, the right defenseman,
Allard, yeah,
78 overall pick, and it would
for
add a
Nat
6-1.
Schnarr.
I'm sorry again.
For Nat Schnarr. Now, did they?
Yeah.
Was Nat Schnarr part of a trade last year? I
Yes.
think.
So he was a trade with
Yeah.
the New
Okay.
Jersey Devils in return. So that's happening about that. So
Yeah.
that's the play for the Montreal Canadiens. That's where the three players was moved. They got involved with the trade for Nick Bonino with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I can't recall it, but I'm pretty sure it's a fifth overall pick, fifth pick, round pick, 2024. for that to retaining the money for Nick Bonino. It was trade, and they got Lund LUND already
Yeah.
trade before that for what San Jose they gave to the Montreal Canadiens. So that was the trade of that's happening for the Montreal this year at the trade deadline. That's happened. MSU said
And
that. Do you think?
by the
Uh,
way, coach, the defense or the defenseman they picked up, that Lund that they picked up from that third three-way deal. He had apparently he's been very much scouted by Montreal because he was a teammate of I'm trying to think of the prospect's name, the Swedish guy that we have that's coming up and has been doing very well. And so
Shane
they knew
Farrell,
him. No, defenseman out of Sweden. I'm trying to remember his name now.
Engstrom.
I just Engstrom. Yes, I think it was Engstrom, and they're part. They played together for a while in the Swedish league, so they know each other very well. And the team knew about Sun quite a bit, so it wasn't just a random player that they picked up. They knew what they were doing there. I think that might pay off down the road. It solidifies Laval too, if it goes that direction.
That'd be great to do that. We have a question for MSU. What do you think? What do you think Detroit is planning on making the big move this offseason with all the cap space and draft pick they have?
I don't know. That's a very good question. I think that they're close to the floor of the cap, if I'm not mistaken. Like, how much money do they have on their cap?
Well, they open
They've
up
got to
more.
have
They open up more the money
more
right now
money.
because they
I
trade a
think
couple
it's
of
like
players,
30
right?
million. I think it's like $30 million, if I'm not mistaken.
So they're going to be fine for the next. They are $8 million right now. Open up.
Yeah,
Uh, so they have only 44 contract. So that's pretty much what they got, and that's not including next year. So um, for me, they will have to get a winger to pick up the spot of Petruzzi. They're going to add a right defenseman at some point. That'll be my two, and then they don't have no backup over there. Uso is the goalie number one. I think it'll be good to get them a backup number two, better to Nikovic, and then of the Herberg they have over there. I just wanted to give you and he become UFA and Nedenkovic. So at the end of the day, that would be one thing they will need to get Mr. Natap.
yeah.
That's what I'm thinking about this. How Jeffrey said, how important is team identity and who has one and who does not? It will be forever. Jeffrey, we have to go through the 32 team about that. That's very important. The identity of the team is the brand, is the culture, right? And I will said right away there, the Boston Bruins. So if you want to figure out this, the Boston Bruins have a really identity. The player play in or the player play out. It's no matter. They play the same way. And that's what it is at the end. Tampa Bay is another one. So people, the team are really structured, organized, and that's that make it fun about that. And that's what he came with leadership. He came with what how he takes to win everything like that. So to go through the 32 team, I just mentioned the one I can pretty much said that
Yeah.
about this for that one. Are the player who you were surprised he did not get treatment on that?
From Montreal or just in
Well,
general?
overall, Montreal.
Overall, let me think. Let me just go through the list here. Uh,
Me, I would say to
Maybe
you,
Brock
I would
Besser.
jump over you,
Brock
Mr.
Besser.
Tap, quickly. I would change that
Yeah.
question. Maybe not my answer for what Ron said. I would say not the players, but I would say the team become a buyer to the sailor. I would take example Washington Capitals, the Detroit
Yes.
Red
Yes.
Wings, and then I would say to
Yeah.
you the Nashville Predator, the Vancouver Canucks with Bo Horvat. They are really the one. I'm more surprised for the players we said to you, and there was mentioned 1 month ago are going to be on the trade deadline name, and then that list for X number become maybe double the number at the end of the day. The best, the player like Orlov example, You
Hmm.
get Granlund in Nashville, you get the Egg Home in Nashville, and those players like that we was not expect to get trade. This may be my biggest surprise at the one did not make trade. Is it fair? So players was expect to get trade, they maybe not get trade because they have too many players was already on the seller thing on the seller side.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's a good point. Um,
Now, if you want
yeah,
to
there were.
consider that women on top, I don't know if you
I'm
agree with me.
surprised.
Go ahead.
No, sorry. I was just going to say when you look at the teams, I'm surprised that maybe Seattle didn't make a move. That I know Winnipeg made one move, but I would have thought that they'd make maybe one more.
One thing that make movements on top is the Flyers.
And even Carolina to a lesser degree, right? The Flyers didn't make a move.
Well,
You're
they
right.
got like mid minor, but for me, Canada
Yeah,
has
yeah.
never been a big team at the break deadline. They never been. But I will say to you, Flyers did not do any move. Florida Panthers did not do any move. Seattle Kraken did not
Dallas.
do too much over there. So that would be the jump quickly on my eyes. A great question, by the way. Nobody
Yeah.
want to give anything for Drouin. That is a huge statement. I like Nate Shaw. He was with Ski and Guava. Shaw was hurt a lot. Yeah, he was in the Devils organization for many years. Never been that another player where player cannot make it. That's one of them, obviously for him. But he have a good run in the junior OHL. David Archer is in the house. Welcome back, David. Hopefully doing well. Yamo Vartanen knocked the door. Welcome aboard.
Okay.
Um is Drouin is hockey soon going to erupt? I would say no. Um,
No.
you see a Jonathan Drouin transform in the last 4 or 5 weeks. Um, I've seen Jonathan Drouin go um, get another job in NHL. I don't know how Montreal think about this, if they're going to sign him or not, lower the money. Martin Saint-Louis love the way he play. He is, he doesn't score. I understand that. I know the pass maybe push him out of the Montreal Canadiens. But look, we cannot complain too much about him for the last since he came back for his injury, play a good role for the Montreal Canadiens. You see a transformation. Not so he's a David Pastrnak. I'm talking about his improvement as a hockey player overall. The last 2 months compared was in the past. For me, it's like we is again. Montreal have a lot of other options before Jonathan Drouin, and I said they have to sign him. Can Montreal consider him? I don't know. But I would be surprised if he's
I
out
doubt
of the
it.
NHL. Yeah.
Yeah, I doubt he's with Montreal at all. Like unless he's willing to take a very small contract, like a maybe a million and a half for 1 year only. But I agree. I think there'll be some team that'll still look at the data and say this guy could put up 40, 50 points a year, and this is a market where he's not going to be under very much pressure. He's not going to be scrutinized by the media and the fan base. He can walk around in peace and just have that right mindset, and so that he can just play hockey, and that's it. Put him on a third line, second line.
Yep. I agree. I don't say it will not happen. I feel like he still have maybe one more chance, two more
Yeah.
chance. Maybe team always give chance sometime, right? And on the flip side, because he cannot ask a lot of money in return, he's limited, right? And
Hmm.
he have no power leverage to ask her money. I think for me, I think can sign him below at $2 million. He said, "Look, we're going to give you one chance here,
Yeah. Yeah.
and go from there after that." So I
Absolutely.
think, and because I was said because the salary cap is so hard, so they can get a player like him at 40 point per year at $1.5 million, and that's he's going to become now in NHL on my eyes. He cannot negotiate 3, 4, $5 million anymore. So
Yeah.
that'd be something like that. David, welcome back. And then we have Yamo, of course. We said that Rick Bengal said Chikran was an awesome last night. This could be very interesting, that trade. Maybe they could be all the trade we talk about this, or maybe this is the biggest trade uh, with no, my expectation was not that Chikran was almost everywhere. I thought it was maybe 6, 7 under this, and they found a way to pick him up at lower price what we expect. uh, and then maybe make the if Ottawa make the wild card, guys. This is a bad news for Arizona because they dropped their pick for him at the end of the night. So again, Ottawa is looking very good with him. They still missing a couple of pieces of the puzzle. They got Patrick Brown for the Flyers a couple of minutes ago, but still, I think is for me. This is going to be a team it will compete with Islanders and the Pittsburgh for the wild card at the end of the season.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it was a bit scary yesterday when he took that fall and it looked like he may have injured his knee, and he's had problems with his knee in the past, but hopefully he's fine and he can help Ottawa to get to that last spot.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That is the trade window close it now. Yeah, is it end about that, Yamo? So this is the end of this. Because I like answering my question, Jeffrey. No, it's not because I don't answer. It's just like if I go like this, Jeffrey, 32 team, the intensity for each one of them, it'll be like forever to go on that one over there. So I'll just give you a briefly about the intensification of the team about that one over there. If they have, is there a players who you will have like to see trade to Montreal?
To Montreal? Well, I think the big gun is Pierre-Luc Dubois, right? That's where a lot of the concentration is going to probably be at, simply because he's expressed that as a landing point for himself. But again, do you want to trade for him and get him now, or do you want to wait one more year and then you get him as a free agent where
Yeah,
you don't expend
yeah,
any trades?
I can understand his question, but I would say Montreal is not in the at this moment on the side of the buy anybody or to hope to get a player. The Montreal is running on the sell side. So they are disappointed about what the turnaround the trade deadline. They cannot trade Edmondson and
Yeah.
Omanian to get asset, right? And that's the only thing I would say to you. Of course, you can jump in with different players about you know, who can get good players, in the market. But I'm flip on the side, like, more disappointed because the fact they cannot trade many of them during the trade deadline. Some that would be my best one
Hmm.
about that. Not a problem. David is the trade window. Sam KLS is in the house. Thought on some quest for a fourth round. Again, it's a continuous. Again, that's what Detroit Eiserman does. He tried to go and you know get asset. That's what Eiserman is doing right now, and he see the window is over for them for the playoff right now, the wild card, and he just accumulate asset like he did in the last couple of years. It's just for me, a KDS maybe on our top. Uh, we talk about the Nashville, the Washington, Detroit became the last 7 days was 5 days. A team become for a buyer to the seller with all the trade they did this summer or the new signature UFA, the Cup, Andrew Cope, Ben Chariot, or Mata, Uso trade. I thought that Detroit was really Ronald domed and phase number two of the rebuilding example. I feel like they come back to
Yeah.
the phase number one. What happening during the week?
And sometimes maybe you do have to take a step back before you can take two steps forward. So, we won't understand it until probably the summer to see where that direction is going. But the idea here is at least Detroit has already accumulated over the past years some very good prospects. They have already two or three very solid picks or players that they're building around on the team. They have a solid goaltender in Huso. So the right pieces are there, and they'll accelerate it probably when I think Eiserman thinks the time is right.
Yep. Would be like Rick said right now, the Montreal will be take 3 years to be bad. Um, what I would say, it depends
Mm,
what is bad, right? I always see
yeah,
a Montreal Canadiens already better. They're already
yeah,
24,
much
25th, 26 in the NHL. Everybody put them
right.
at the 29, 30, 31, 32, and they play without 12 players. Now, if you said bad, it's just because you don't make the playoff. But Buffalo been bad for 12 years, and Ottawa been bad for 7 years, and I can go all the way like that, right? if you see a team improve every year, I think this is not considered as a bad about that. Now, if you said 3 years without make the playoff, it could be there because Atlantic division is really a difficult division. It's not because Montreal is bad; it's just the way it is, the division about that. I think Montreal could be in the next 3 years the top 20 in NHL, but still not make the playoff.
Yeah, that's
That's the
very
way I see
possible.
that about that. But I can understand Rick what you meant about that. So, I mean, WST is in the house. Welcome aboard. Don't forget, guys, to click on that. Pretty sad. We are still have all the anchors about that. Now, obviously, you talk about Drouin. I don't know which one you talk about after that, but I was not expect more at that.
Well, Hoffman, I guess, or Mia.
Yeah, but it is a
You
player you
know,
cannot trade because the contract they have.
yes, yes.
You know what I
But
mean?
I think that's what he was referring to
Yeah.
is what I'm trying
But
to say.
that's
Yeah,
the market is, and it should obviously about this one or there.
yeah.
Nashville signed Fabro, a 1 year contract at $2.5 million. Danny is in the house. Welcome back. Just stop with the Drouin attack. The league does not want him. It's very sad to say that. I always said for he's a human being. For me, it
Yes,
just feels sad about that. But it is what it is. Look like the fan does not like Jonathan Drouin. If he was a Jonathan Drouin you want to carve, maybe it'll be another story. But because he's a French Canadian, maybe that's the story behind that. Question, Coach
I
Ottawa to
hope
make
not.
the playoff. Very interesting. Let's remember they are for sale. You're absolutely right about this, Rick. I think for me right now, they are the team. My wild card or the wild because you have 5 6 teams on top. The Florida Panthers, the
Yeah,
Detroit, the Buffalo Islanders, everything. I think they are my wild card. I feel like
Pittsburgh,
they are on
Washington.
mission
Yeah,
right now. You can watching them play yesterday. They play with enthusiasm, smiling, have a good time over there. And Tim Suzla is really the key behind that. He just hit another big piece of the puzzle. And the only thing
yeah.
I would say to you, Rick, and maybe many of you in our tap, I think the biggest problem for me is the goaltender. And I don't know if Cam Talbot can carry on that team all the way.
But what if Sogart steps up, coach, and has a
Yeah,
great run, which he has? You never know, right?
but
I
it's
mean,
question it is the
he,
questionable about that one.
yes,
That's my
yes,
point here. I'm not saying he's not good. Well, that's
agreed.
the area they have to figure out this, and if they can get that kind of game, will be relative. So the Montreal
Very
did so
talented.
trade they trade that enough for Kirinov, and they trade today Schnarr for
Schnarr,
Frederic Allard. How about that? And
Allard.
Tierney is on the waiver. 3 years to be back. Yeah, that's pretty much. I agree with you, Rick. We're on the same page, just one way we think. But I agree with you. I don't believe Montreal would do much at the trade deadline. Too many injuries, and now is the time more the growth through the draft. You're absolutely right about this. I think there will be
Yeah,
something. I still believe they're going to maybe trade Jordan Munson during summer. They would try to slide Mike Hoffman and Joan Armia or their thing. For me, it's not what I'm looking about the player they can give away as to see what you're going to do with Kuryanov. Example, how many spot you have, the IHP spot next year. What are you going to do on the right defenseman about that? What kind of player they can make a UFA signature example. They have some kind of other decision where we don't know yet what they're going to do for to make the roster for next year because it's getting harder and harder to make the lineup for the Montreal Canadiens now. If you keep Kuryanov, and what happened with Sean Monan. So
yeah.
that's a lot on the table about this. Buffalo or Ottawa are to go playoff without the great goalies. Great point about this. Yamo, we just talked about this for sure. I still believe Ottawa have a slightly advantage. So we know Dallin is hurt a little bit. Alex Duck is out. And for me, I think Ottawa right now feel better compared to Ottawa for the playoff right there.
Oh,
Nashville, like, can also
100%.
1 more year deal. Yeah, we talk about this one. As just a plus 300 on Ottawa, make a playoff return. I think it's a good deal, a good decision, Rick, about this. I will do the same thing. My feeling will be that way with it. Mr. Harry, welcome aboard. Thank you so much. But the League Ottawa, the remaining game, Rick. The only thing I would say, Ottawa, Mr. Ottawa, Their schedule is difficult, but again, they beat
Hmm.
the Rangers yesterday, right?
A lot of it, like I said, is between the ears, right? And if they believe, they will do.
Yeah, I'm sorry about this. Jimmy Bain is in the house for a couple more minutes. Guy will be out here very quickly. I think Montreal has a lot of the draft capital and prospect use is starting to look for players with a higher upside to acquire or draft. Of course, he's still looking for asset, Mr. Attack.
Of course, he has to. That's the way you rebuild, right?
Yeah. Did Hughes said any comments about no match trade happening or Martin Saint Louis? Hughes talk about this. There's a press conference. Talk about injury update. He talk about the fact the more seller on the table and the fact like injury where the biggest asset they have it was an injury and they couldn't do anything about that. Not many phone call or make a big trade and return. That was his 3 words about that one over there. Pas de problème, mon Harry. Ottawa, Buffalo, and Detroit. Which team do you do you take now to build for the future, Mr. Nata? And that will you your last question tonight, Mr. Nata. We'll let you go because we see you at 6 o'clock.
Man, I think all three have done a very good job. I mean, I know Detroit now. With this deadline, it was a little bit hard to understand what's going on there, but they do have a lot of prospects. I still like Ottawa quite a bit. Buffalo has a good nucleus. I think uh, they're a little bit. They're probably a year or two behind where Ottawa is right now in terms of the whole
Yeah, that's a great comments about
resurgence.
this behind because they don't have that.
Yeah,
They start a little bit after them. Whatever Buffalo has always
that's right.
been that way, right? I agree with
Yeah.
you. I think at the beginning of the year we would mention Detroit a little bit over everybody else. Now, put Detroit with what they did, they are number 3. I would slightly go with
Yes.
Ottawa because they add Chick Run,
Yes.
and then I would go with Buffalo after that. What they have, so pretty good
And
about
don't
this,
and
Mister
don't
Nata.
forget and don't forget Ottawa's. I mean, if they can just fix that problem where they start off the year, it's been 3 years now. They start off the year very poorly. If they can just correct it, even play 500, I mean, they're going to go far. And don't forget, they didn't have Norris all year long. That's
Yeah,
another big asset.
yeah, I'm sorry about this one there. I watched Renzo going to talk about a little bit later. I just want to mention this to let you go. Remember, guys, whatever you add on your team, like Toronto did, and Rangers and everybody else, you have only one puck on the ice, Mister Natap.
Yes, very good point.
So Tarasenko and Kane cannot share in the same puck.
Yeah.
I just want to mention this. That's the way to let you go, Mister Natap. You can go eat now. Thanks so
Thank you,
much again,
sir.
Mr. Natap.
And
We'll see you at six
we'll
o'clock for the
see you
warm
at
up
six
show.
o'clock. Good night, everyone.
Have a good night, Mr. Natab. It was Mr. Natab, guys, with us. Stop by to give us a little bit of information. We are almost at the end of the show here. We're going to be back at 6 o'clock tonight, talking about the warm up show. Going to add more information about the trade deadline, everything like that. We just want to pop up a little bit more about what's going on today. Very quiet day, guys, in NHL. Not a big deal. Kulikov got trade for the Pittsburgh. You got Kleinberg trade now for the Minnesota. Greenway got trade from Minnesota to Buffalo, but not a big name, not GVR. Montreal was quiet today. San Jose make a lot of trade, but lower name overall. Nick Bonino got traded out for Pittsburgh too. Secondary players, I can call them, or the third, bottom 6 defenseman, third pairing, second pairing. But if you look about all the trade we got in NHL today, you cannot say like, wow, this was an amazing, great day because nobody got a big name like I mentioned to you overall. Like John Klember, there's this one. The brother Richie got traded. At least something else you can tell me, but otherwise, a very quiet day for this. I'm glad we did not do live for 6 hours like we did last year because we had not much to talk about that. Not a problem, Mr. William. Always a pleasure. Next two game, Ottawa, Columbus, and Chicago must win. Absolutely right about this for sure. Talk about showing value for the New York new buyer. Ottawa make a playoff for Ricky up. DANY, Luciano is in the house. Thanks so much, both of them. J'avais 7-3 yesterday. It should be trade a week, William. Yeah, it was that's the one thing I would say to you was fun for me here tonight, this week, because we make a show at 9 o'clock and Montreal was on the road and played late the night. So we did not miss a lot of nights of the trade deadline. We could have a show at 9 o'clock every night. I think it was good. We get that, part number one, part number two, and part number three. And I think it was fun talking about the trade deadline. Now, everybody is over. They are going to reset now. They're going to say finishing the remaining of the season. And honestly, Toronto prepare for the war. Tampa Bay prepare for the war. The New Jersey they will prepare for the war. The Rangers prepare for the war. On the Central Division, they prepare to see who's going to make the playoff. They still battle over there. Who's finished first, second, third. Winnipeg struggle. On the Pacific Division, Ken Vegas did enough to add, Jonathan Quick over there. That's a big plus. Like Barbashev is on one over there. The Edmonton make a big impact with Hank Holm. Honestly, this is the big piece of the puzzle. And then after that, you get the Los Angeles Kings got Cavricov and Corpusado. We watched them again, Ken Montreal last night. Cavricov, he brings some kind of fiscality around is for them. And then Calgary, I think they don't do enough. They trade a couple of players today, but not major players. I think this team is not going nowhere, unfortunately for them, with a bad performance overall of Maxstrom and Vladar. So that's happening about that one over there. For that, guys, we're going to let you go tonight right away here. 5 o'clock here, a.m. and 10 and then 5 o'clock Eastern time. We'll be back in the next 45 minutes. Join me live with Inartat, do the warm-up show. We're going to talk about the 10 game yesterday, the 5 game we have tonight, and then we're going to talk about a little bit about Montreal Canadiens. And don't forget, 10 o'clock p.m. tonight, I do the game play-by-play for the Montreal Canadiens versus the Anaheim Ducks. Very big game for the Montreal for the ranking at the end of the day. But you have other game to watch tonight in NHL. So we thank you so much to be with the Hockey Nation show. But before we leave, we want to remind you, please don't forget to click on the likes. And thank you, all the moderators and the people join me live from 1 hour.
You are awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, you have greatness inside of you.
Yeah, greatness inside of you. Be well, be healthy. Find a way not only to dominate your day, find a way to dominate the first half of what? 2023. Have an amazing, great rest of your night, everybody. And happy hour 5 to 7. Time to get out and go get what you need. Until then, enjoy the rest of your night, everybody.